What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys a major update for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, the anime. And I want to go ahead and address this because I've had quite a few people send me stuff. People have been panicking ever since they've seen that the new opening has given us a lot of stuff that is taking us right up to, from the looks of it, chapter 56 of the Boruto manga. For those of you guys who are anime only fans, right now the Boruto manga has, I believe, 60 chapters. We'll be getting chapter 61 on the 18th of this month. So a lot of people saying like, damn, we're getting so close to the actual manga right now. A lot of people have been worried. They're like, yo, this means that the Boruto anime is gonna go on hiatus. And I've already done a separate video kind of talking about why I don't think that's the case. However, we have a new development that's going on right now. So the legal Chinese streaming app has updated their Boruto episode count, and the episode count that they have has Boruto's anime going up to episode 246. And so a lot of people have seen this and they said, oh my god, this means that Studio Pierrot is closing down Boruto and they're gonna move the staff over to the Bleach 1000 Year Blood War arc once that happens. And I want to address that because I think people are jumping the gun. First and foremost, I've been in the anime community for a long time. I'm old enough to remember when Fairy Tail Series 2 came out, so this is the what people refer to as the second season of Fairy Tail, which is the second half of the Grand Magic Games arc all up to the Tartarus arc. I'm old enough to remember that Fairy Tail Series 2, when it got announced, we got a placeholder for 50 episodes and people thought, oh, it's only gonna be 50 episodes. But what ended up happening is that Fairy Tail Series 2 ended up running for, I believe, 90 or 91 episodes. It's not uncommon for there to be numbers for placeholder episodes, basically saying that a network or a streaming service purchased a certain number of actual episodes to put on there. That does not mean that that's the final number. There could be more, there could be less, as was the case with the Fairy Tail Series 2, where at one point we had a placeholder number for 100, and as I just told you, it ended up being 90 or 91 episodes. Just being honest with you, I really think some of this is recency bias, and it's human nature, but I think some of this is recency bias because a lot of people are like, oh my god, well, you know, Black Clover just got canceled, and you know, Black Clover is getting too close to the manga. Yeah, and Black Clover was also being slated for a movie. We don't know whether or not the movie is going to be a canon movie in order to tie things in or whatnot. But I say that to say, just because something happened with Black Clover does not actually mean it's going to take place in this actual instance right here. I know Black Clover's anime was profitable. It was, I believe, one of the top 5 most profitable for TV Tokyo. But to put this in a perspective for you, and I'm a Black Clover fan, even though I don't talk about the series, I will say there's a big difference between Black Clover and Boruto in terms of profits. You're talking about the #1 most profitable show on TV Tokyo. That's like the Los Angeles Lakers telling LeBron James your services are no longer needed. There's no way in hell TV Tokyo is going to give up that ad revenue, especially when TV Tokyo literally just gave Boruto another huge time slot to air additional reruns in order to extend the reach of the actual audience. They can charge more money for actual ad revenue spots for commercials for when it's airing over there in Japan. You're not doing that with a franchise that you're thinking about canceling in 30 weeks. You're not doing that because from a financial standpoint, if anything, you're using that time slot as a way to actually test out other shows that you're going to be using to put into Boruto's time slot once you actually in the anime, because you need somebody that's going to literally replace the production of your #1 highest grossing as well as #1 most net profitable show on your actual network. The other thing I've seen people say is, well, if they're doing this, then that means that they must have got the rights to the Bleach 1000 Year Blood War arc, and they need to pull Boruto animators in order to lend a hand in order to help with Bleach. And this is the thing on that. The people working on Boruto have been working on the Naruto franchise for the 20 plus years that Naruto's had an anime running. Naruto has its own staff that is devoted to it. Just as when Bleach comes back, as Studio Pierrot ends up animating it, Studio Pierrot is going to have its own staff that is devoted towards Bleach. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to have its own production staff with its own animators. Studio Pierrot, the way that those anime studios work, they have a small number of animators that they usually let assist on multiple shows, but for the most part, the core staff sticks to the show that they're assigned to. So I just want to address that. I've seen people say that Bleach is the reason why that could potentially be happening. Again, these are typically placeholders that different sites will use. Unless you get something like an official statement from TV Tokyo, like you got when Black Clover ended, I'm not going to sound the alarm on that. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons for why I'm not sounding an alarm on it. So I've already told you about just the net profit side of it, from the business aspect of being able to charge advertising. The other reason, so number 2, is essentially the anime is what you can make the strong argument for is the actual reason why the manga is still ongoing. Because just keeping it a whole buck with you, Boruto's manga in 2019 sold like 600,000 copies. In 2020, Boruto's manga did 800,000 copies. The thing about that, the reason I bring that up is that for a Naruto title to be doing hundreds of thousands of copies is not anything super impressive. That's a nice jump from 2019 to 2020. I think you have a good argument to be made that the manga is probably going to crack 1 million in sales this year. I think you have a pretty good argument to be making for that, but you take away the anime, which is by far a lot more popular than the manga is over there in Japan, you're basically saying that you think that the Boruto manga can see a huge increase in sales after the anime ends. And my third reason for this is just looking at it from another network's perspective. One Piece right now, One Piece's anime is very close to where One Piece's manga is right now. It is very close, but you don't see Fuji TV saying that they're going to pull One Piece off. One Piece, if I'm not mistaken, is Fuji TV's most profitable anime that they have. Pulling Boruto off of the actual network is essentially like telling Fuji TV to pull One Piece off of its network when it's its highest grossing and highest net profit series in terms of anime on that network. It's not something that's going to happen. Again, One Piece's anime is dangerously close, and One Piece takes hella breaks, even though it's a weekly manga. So I'm not sounding an alarm for those 3 reasons, but I want to use Naruto as an example, because I've seen people say, well, what about Naruto's franchise? There was a break with Naruto. And it's like, no, there was a break when it comes to the English dub over in Europe and the English dub over in America. That didn't happen over there in Japan. In Japan, Naruto's manga was about 50 chapters ahead of where the anime was. It's give or take 50 chapters. When the Sasuke retrieval arc was airing on television, that arc was doing like 3-4 chapters a pop. To put this into perspective, Naruto chapter is about 16 to 18 pages. If you got 18 pages for a Naruto chapter, that was a pretty meaty chapter, but for the most part, there's 16, 17 pages. So Boruto is about 40, 41 pages in actual chapter, 42 if you count the actual cover page. So the reason why you have to kind of factor that in is that for every Boruto chapter that you're getting, that's essentially 2.5 Naruto chapters. So Boruto's weekly, 1 Boruto chapter is about 2.5 of a weekly chapter. So by the time the anime gets to chapter 47, which it should be adapting that next month in September, by the time it actually gets to that, you're talking about the anime being 14 chapters behind the actual manga. Now, the anime does 1 to 1.5 chapters per actual episode when it adapts stuff. So when you convert that over to a weekly format, that's 35 weekly chapters. And that's 35 weekly chapters that the anime is going to be behind, which means that you're talking about at Boruto's pacing, you're still talking about a significant number of episodes that are in between. Yes, Boruto, because you get a new chapter once every month, you're just adding on a little bit more to that, but that's still enough of a gap right there to where you're really just going to be relying on the manga to do what it's done in recent chapters, like in the last chapter where you have built-in information of like, oh, it's been a week since Boruto was given these pills. It's been a week since this event happened with Boruto's Karma Seal. I think you're going to be in a very similar situation with Boruto's actual manga. Like I talked about in my video about when to realistically expect that time skip of when Ikimoto said that soon was coming. I stand by it. I think that October, November is probably going to be when you get that actual time skip, and it's because this feels a lot like 2004 where the Naruto manga, the anime was right on its actual heels, and then bam, we got a time skip, and in chapter 238 it was revealed that like, oh snap, there were 3 months that took place between when Jiraiya said, I'm going to take you to go train, and when Jiraiya actually took him to go train. And as we all know, the anime did roughly 2 years worth of freaking filler. That's why you didn't get Naruto Shippuden until 2007, like January or February 2007. So I say that to say, I think that Kishimoto's smart enough to actually write in little moments like that into the actual manga once we get to what I feel like is approaching the climax of this current arc that we're in right now. So I think that you're going to get a moment like that to where there's going to be more time markers dropped in there, and typically once that's done, that's a nod to the anime to say, okay, you've got breathing room. I think that's something that is going to be done right there. I know we have a director who has said like, yo, it's going to be full steam ahead. We're going to adapt the manga stuff. I know that's what people want, but I think that at some point, that's typically when Studio Pierrot is going to look at it and say, we're getting too close to the source material, and they're going to pull back once you get to a certain point. I think once all this stuff with Ishiki Otsuki kind of gets to a point to where it dies down, that's where you're going to get more of those transition episodes. And the fact that this director has directly said, and I'm going to hang my hat on this a few times, the director for the anime has said that he is open to adapting the Naruto Retsuden novels, which are novels I cover here on the channel. So Kakashi Retsuden, Sasuke Retsuden, and Naruto Retsuden. He's openly said more than once that he's open to adapting those into the anime. Obviously, when you do that, much like the other light novels that have been adapted, there are going to be changes that are likely going to be made to it in order to fit the anime timeline, similar to what you had with the Mirai novel, where they took a huge plot point and they took it out and they changed it and basically had it where instead of it taking place right before Boruto's graduation exam, they had the novel take place after the Versus Momoshiki arc. And you've had this director directly interact with people on Twitter saying, well, what scenes from the light novel would you like to see animated? The fact that he's kind of said that in the past, I really feel like just looking at his track record on the fact that we've gotten Parent and Child Day, we've gotten the Konoha Steam Ninja Scrolls novel, I'm of the mind state that once the manga gives a pretty solid time jump, whether it be like what you saw with Naruto's manga where they said there were 3 months between chapters, once we get something concrete like that in the actual anime, I do think that that's when you're going to see that done, because he has said he wants to adapt those novels. So I do think that this is something that could be used as a way to actually segue into that right there. However, I want to know from you guys, I know a lot of you guys want to see this go the Fairy Tail route of where Fairy Tail went 60 episodes, 90 episodes, or you want it to be a seasonal anime. I don't ever think that Boruto as a franchise is going to be seasonal, just for the fact that it makes way too much money for the actual network. And by extension, it's making too much money for Shueisha just as an anime. The anime is arguably what's selling the manga right now. And there's a huge disconnect between support for the anime and manga. For whatever reason, you have a lot of fans over there in Japan, they don't want to spend their money on the actual manga though. And it's not just because the chapters on Manga Plus. I've seen people say every time there's a new chapter come up, there's more support for the actual manga on Manga Plus. Yes, that's also a free app that they're putting the chapters on for the most recent actual chapters, but that doesn't do anything for your back catalog. And the subscription price that you pay that $1.99 for isn't going to balance out the actual lost revenue of not being able to push those manga volumes. So hopefully this kind of put out some of the fires. I know I was probably a little more blunt than some of you guys actually want. You know, some of you guys want me to sugarcoat stuff. I don't sugarcoat when it comes to stuff like this. I'm going to tell you exactly what I feel, and I don't really care if I hurt somebody's feelings or not. So make sure to share this video out with people. That way we can kind of put out some of the fires that are in the fandom. Again, if this was a scale from 1 to 5 and 5 is just absolutely not worried and 1 is absolutely worried, I'm at a 4 right now. I'm not really worried right now. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.